Crispus, let's start off on the economic picture and economic data that we're expecting out today or anytime soon. Inflation data is expected, as I said, a Reuters poll looking at 14.8%. Is it likely that we could start seeing a turn in the interest rate cycle if we see this inflation data coming in below that 15% mark?
Yeah, I would agree with the Reuters poll. We are headed towards a situation whereby fuel prices have constantly been on the decrease. Food is also coming down. So basically, the average cost of living is coming down. Overall, we are seeing a couple of banks settling on starting to reduce their lending rates, although marginally. So I'm confident that those figures are going to be at 14% levels.
We're taking stock, of course, of the first quarter and how the markets have performed. It seems like Kenya's market has managed to gain back some of its losses from 2011. The banking sector has been in focus. We've had, of course, the oil and gas sector now in focus as the discovery of oil has been announced earlier this week. What are your views on how the market has performed so far for the first quarter? And as we go into the second quarter, what are your expectations?
Compared to the beginning of the year when the index seemed likely to be going below the 3,000 levels, I'm pretty satisfied. Although again, we would see that first quarter has been the reporting period for most companies, so that has contributed. Going forward, there's still the umbrella of elections, and also there's still a lot of political uncertainty. But then again, discovery of oil, that increases investor confidence. Still, I'm still a bit cautious on the stock market at the moment.
Still cautious on the stock market, and so was Jubilee Holdings. That's why they diversified away from equities, and that really proved positive for them, given the fact that they managed to report a 4.5% rise in pre-tax profit. Also citing the fact that they've got that regional diversification and regional strategy that has proved beneficial. What are your views on Jubilee's numbers?
Diversification really helps a lot because once you have several subsidiaries in different countries, you could be able to pick from several different baskets, and therefore at the end of it all, even though one subsidiary might not be doing very good, the others will be able to support it. That is a very good strategy for Jubilee. But going forward, again, the focus is for them to try to increase insurance penetration, which is currently at 2% levels. Compared to the rest of Africa, we have South Africa at 7%. Actually, we have the Southern African countries at levels of 7%. We ought to match that level for the East African countries.
Okay,
so basically, an increase of 7% will really see their premium income increasing.
We know that CFC Insurance also reported this week a doubling of profits for full year 2011. But if you look at their comprehensive income, they actually reported a loss per share. That's as a result of their exposure to the equity market. But if you had to be betting on an insurance stock, an insurance company that is going to make the biggest headway this year and then in the next few years in terms of getting into that market that is underpenetrated, which would you be your stock pick right now?
For the insurance market?
Yep.
I would go for Britak at the moment, short-term gains, because both short-term and long-term, because they've shown an intent to enter heavily into the property market. They're also intending to diversify, and I believe at the current levels, the share is a bit underpriced.
So Britak is the stock that you'd be going for, and it's interesting that you mentioned the real estate market because there's just been a report out this morning that Nairobi recorded the highest growth rate in the luxury real estate market prices in 2011, the only African city to make the World Wealth Report for this period in terms of growth rates in the luxury real estate space. Are there any companies in the property space that are geared towards this growth in luxury real estate in Kenya that are listed right now? Centum,
they have announced plans to enter into the real estate market. We have Sasini Tea and Coffee. They've also announced plans to enter into the real estate market. So the picture that we are getting is that companies are a bit more confident going into the real estate as opposed to equities, to maybe equities and the stock market.
So Centum is one of those stocks there. Let's move on to your stock picks as we go into the second quarter. Which stocks are you looking at as outperformers right now? And what are your views in terms of what are going to be the key catalysts for their growth?
I'd be looking at Scan Group. Scan Group has heavily diversified. They have operations all over Africa, and they're still moving into other countries. Although I expect their income might take a hit from acquisition costs, but once we start seeing the benefits, once they start realizing the benefits of those acquisitions, then we could be in for some good profits.
As you say, looking to expand its presence, just looking at a report out there, looking to expand into Nigeria, Angola, Mozambique. They've made a recent acquisition in Ghana. Do you like the countries that they're looking to make acquisitions in right now?
Sorry, I did not catch you.
Do you like the areas that they're planning to grow their business in? Because as I said, they've recently made an acquisition in Ghana, but they're looking to grow in Nigeria, Angola and Mozambique by the end of the year. Do you think that these markets are the best markets to be positioned in, of course, for this marketing firm?
Oh yes, I strongly support them, because if you look at those markets, basically Africa is basically an emerging economy, maybe apart from a few countries that we could say there's a bit of competition. But then again, you see, once they're able to diversify the operations like that, we have economies of scale. And even, like I said before, even though you're making one operation might not be doing so well, you're able to have other operations and maybe eat into them. So I support them, and I believe there is growth.
And of course, we've also seen the shareholder WPP increasing its stake in the group, so clearly supporting its plans on the African continent. In terms of price for that stock sitting below 50 shillings right now, do you have any thoughts in terms of what we're looking at for price targets?
In terms of the stock, currently Scan Group is below 50. Of course, we've seen it touch levels of 60, so I'm still a bit bullish on it.
Bullish on the stock to manage to move beyond that 50 shilling mark. Just lastly, let's get your views on the shilling right now. It was sitting just above 83 this morning against the greenback. Do you see that this level is sustainable right now, given concerns around where the oil price is and how that might impact inflation further down the line? We know that inflation is expected to tick down, but there are concerns around how that oil price further down the line is going to start impacting the fuel import bill and then, of course, the currency.
Remember, again, we are headed towards the end of the quarter. People will be looking to close their positions. So really expect it to still stay at those levels. Then again, the MPC, the MPC in the next week, really we expect to see people taking a wait and see attitude on the shilling. I don't expect much change, because this is the end of we are approaching the end of the first quarter.
Has appeared to be pretty stable around these levels for some time now. Crispus, thanks very much for joining us this morning.